Yo, what is up? So in this tutorial, we're gonna go over some basic level design. So we'll make a little level like this. I'll kind of show you how I do a general like block out of a level. Also, we'll go over, a little bit more of the master material that we set up in the last episode. And then finally, we'll go over setting up a bit of this nighttime scene. So, yeah, let's just hop into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we need to set up having Fab connected to our engine, so we need to get the Fab plugin if you haven't done this yet. I'm going over this because Fab is new and a lot of people probably haven't set this part of it up yet. So what you want to do is go into your library and just search for Fab and install this to the engine, and you can choose the engine version to install to when this pops up. And then we'll open up our project. And then once you get your project open, you'll see you have this Fab tab right here, where you can go and, grab all the stuff from Fab. And also you can get to it from the window up here, Fab. And yeah, so that's how you get that set up. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new level. I'm going to choose an open world level, create. And I'm just going to delete the landscape that's here. I mean, you could keep the landscape. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll just leave the landscape, because the landscape's fine for now. But what I'm going to do next is... let's go ahead and start with trying to get a bit of a nighttime scene. So I'm just going to go over here to our outliner. I'm going to go to directional light. I'm going to set the intensity here to about 0.3. Maybe something like that, 0.3. Also, something else that we need in here is a post-processing volume. So if you come up here and just search for post-process, we'll pull this guy in here. And then with our post-process selected, we're going to look for infinite extent unbound. We're going to look for that. And then we're going to go down to exposure right here. And I'm going to set the min and max EV100 to 0. Set both of those guys to 0. And then I'm going to go ahead and save the level. I'm just going to call this horror level. Be sure to save this where you want it to sit in your files, because otherwise you cannot move it later. It'll break the map. So I'm gonna just put it in my first person maps folder right here. I'm just gonna call this horror level. So save. And all right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to go into our engine content and replace our sky with some stars, because there are some default ones that you can get. And if you don't see any of this over here, you can go to your settings and show engine content. You can also show plugin content if you want to. I have both of these ticked on most of the time. So just tick those on, and then you'll have these folders over here that you can get into. And I'm just going to look for sky, and need to find the stars. It's a material somewhere in here. Procedural sky night right here. So if we go to our SM sky sphere right here, we could just replace this material with our procedural night. You see we get some stars right there. And I'm gonna just try to angle our sun somewhere else for now. Alright, so that should be good. And it still doesn't quite look too dark. So let's go to our skylight and check this. My other scene, I had the intensity scale of the skylight set to 5. Let's go to our directional light. And let's change this down to 0.1-ish for now. Getting closer to what we need. May need to tweak some other things. Let's look in exponential height fog. I think I had this set to 0.5-ish. Let's try 0.3. Maybe 0.2. And that's getting pretty close. Alright, so back to our directional light. What I'm going to do to kind of fix this super reflectiveness on the ground, this will help later when we have a landscape material. We'll probably go over a landscape material later, but for now, I'm just going to click on the directional light and hit spacebar, or you can go up here to set to rotate it, and I'm just going to rotate this guy up to even it out a bit. And that's looking a lot cleaner. So, something else you can also do if you want to do it, you can kind of change the color of your moon pretty much. Fine for a nighttime scene. A slight, very slight bit of a cooler look is nice. So something on the bluish side. Very, very light though. Like I have the saturation set to 0.04 right there. And that's pretty much it. That's a pretty basic setup for getting a nighttime scene. Also, we can go to our skylight and tweak our intensity scale to make it not super reflective on the ground, because that was still pretty bright on the ground. So 1, maybe 1 to 2-ish. I'll leave mine on 1 for now. Gives a bit more of that darker look to it. Alright, so now, next we're going to find our player start. So if you go to the outliner, just double click the player start. We can see we are starting right here. So we're going to build our level right here. So typically, the way you want to do like a level design is you don't really want to go straight into like trying to finalize how the level is going to be. What we tend to do is something called blocking out. So if you look in your content folder here, there's this level prototyping, and if you go into meshes, we have cubes. I tend to use this because of the scaling is pretty nice to work with. You can also, you know, do a lot of things with the modeling tools and, you know, create boxes and do all kinds of stuff with this if you want to. I'm just going to use the level prototyping stuff for now. So what I'm going to do here with our cube is I'm going to set the Y scale to 0.3, and I'm going to set the Z to 4. That way we get something kind of like a wall. And for now, I'm going to go over here to the lights, and I'm going to bring in a point light just so we can kind of see what we're working with. We made it night, so it's a little bit harder to see. So we'll click back on our cube, and I'm going to set this guy to something like, we'll make it 10 on the X. And what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in a material from Fab, from Megascans, to kind of get the feel that we're going for. So we're going to click on Fab right here. And I haven't really found a easy way to get to Quixel. I wish they just had it in a drop down right here, like a quick easy way to just get to Megascans. But what I've been doing is I've just been going up here and searching Quixel, and if you click on any of the Quixel things here, just click on that, and if you come up here they have a little Quixel button, and I go to that, and then I'm going to material and textures, and I'm just gonna look for something like a concrete wall. So if you go to, where's the search? Oh, up here. Concrete wall. I'm just going to search for a concrete wall. And I'm going to find, the one I used in the other project was, it was a damaged one. So let me find that one. Right here, damaged concrete wall was the one I was using in the other one. So I'm just going to click on this guy. I'm going to You can set what quality preset you want right here. I'm going to set mine to medium. That'll come in at 2K textures. So I'm just going to leave that there and then add to project. And you'll see it'll download, it'll import, and then you'll get this new tab right here for fab, mega scans, surfaces, damaged wall, medium, and we have this texture here. But we don't want to use this material directly because we set up our master material. You can see this material stretches and we can't do all the cool things with it that we can do with our master material. So we're going to go into our first person folder, materials. Let's make a new folder in here called material instances. And in here we'll make a folder called brick, because I believe that first material instance we made was a brick. So let's rename this material to mi_brick wall. And I'm going to pull this guy into material instances, go into here, throw that into our brick folder. Alright, so now on our master right here, we're going to right click, create material instance, and I'm going to call this mi_damaged concrete wall. Then I'm going to throw this material on our wall right here, and then I'm going to open this guy up. And I'm going to enable world alignment. So if you come up here, material properties right here, enable world alignment, just take both of these guys on. You'll see that is no longer stretching, but we're going to change out the maps that we're using. So if you go to your fab folder here, mega scan, surfaces, damaged concrete wall, medium, we're going to replace these textures right here. So if you take the albedo, normal, and roughness right here, we're going to bring in our albedo, normal, and you can see right here we actually have an ORM, which actually we disabled this by default in the last episode, which is my use ARH. So an ARH and ORM is basically the same thing. This is ORM, which is metallic on the end, but it'll be fine for now. So what we can do, we have an error, so we need to go into the master and fix that. We're just gonna put this texture here as a placeholder for our ARH right here. So I'm just gonna bring this texture right here. Same for this one right here. Bring this guy in. And bring this guy in right here. Save that. So, now, we no longer have that error. That fixed that error. And we can use our ARH, which is a packed map. So, we can just bring this guy in here. And we have that working. Now, if you want to, you can change the tiling of this. If you just search for tiling, you can click this tiling right here. You can change the scale of it if you would like to. I'm going to leave it at default for now. You can also change the tint and stuff if you want to. I'm going to set this to about a 0.85. So typically on any texture, any kind of albedo map, you don't really ever want it to be fully at 100, or fully, you don't ever want the value to be at fully at 1, because that's not really how lighting and color works in the real world. So if you're at 1, you're basically saying that the material, the texture isn't absorbing any light. So you always bring it down a little bit, because everything in the world absorbs light in some kind of way. So I always bring it down just a little bit, so it looks a little bit more real. And for now, that's all we're going to do. You can increase the normal if you want to, normal intensity. We can get a little bit closer and you can see the difference. You can kind of see some little differences there. But yeah, that should be good for our wall. So now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set my scaling. If you go up here to set the position grid snap, I'm gonna set this guy to 50, and I'm just gonna pull it over until we have something somewhat like a hall. And oh, we got a bunch of errors here. What did we get that for? Landscape actor property of landscape streaming properties. Resave these actors. Sure, we'll just save. And let's see. And I don't know what that's yelling about, but let's just reopen the map. Or we'll just make a new landscape, because it's yelling something about the landscape, so we'll just make a new one. Let's delete all of these. So if you go up here to your landscape and take the down arrow and then highlight all the proxies, we'll just delete these. And then we'll delete the landscape right here. Whoops, not import. Save all. And then delete. And then we will save all again. Then we'll go up to right here. We'll choose landscape. And then we will create a new landscape. We'll leave everything at default there for now. Yeah, we'll just make a new landscape there. Be sure to save after that. Every time I press play after making a new landscape, a lot of the times it likes to crash for me, but we'll see if it happens. It did not crash, but I think I need to... Yeah, our player start is in the ground, so I'm just going to pull this guy up. Cool little tip, if you pull up and if something is floating above the ground, if you pressed the N key on your keyboard, it'll align that to the ground. Let's press play. It is still wigging for some reason, so I'm just going to reopen the level. I'm going to go to content, first person, maps, horror level. There we go. Yeah, I don't know. It's just bugging, wigging out for some reason. So yeah, now we can run around. We have our wall. Let me make sure these, yeah, these are in the ground as well. So I'm just going to pull these guys up, press end, align those to the ground. And there we go. Now we have our walls kind of in a good position there. I'm going to kind of center the player start a little bit more here. I'm going to set the snapping back to 10. I'm going to line that guy there. And something I like to do while blocking out a level, just so I'm not fighting with lighting when I'm trying to, like, you know, build things, is I go up here to, you see where it says lit? I like to go to unlit, and it makes it a lot easier, especially if you're doing like a dark scene like this. Just go to unlit, and it makes it a lot easier to see what the hell you're doing. Alright, guess I'll move my player start down this way. And I'm going to rotate this guy 180 degrees. I'm going to grab this wall. And something you could do is, if you want to just quickly duplicate it like I just did right there, if you don't know how to do that, all you got to do is click on it. If you press Alt on your keyboard and click and drag, it'll duplicate it real quickly. And yeah, we're just going to line this guy up. I'm going to rotate this guy 90. And make sure this is lined up. And for this wall, I'm going to make the X, let's say about 5. And then I'll bring it over here and line this guy up. And cool. So now I'm going to drag this guy over and line it up to this one. And we'll make kind of like a room with 4 different halls that you can go down. Something real simple. We're not going to worry about windows or doors for now. We're just going to get a basic setup so that we can just kind of give you an idea of a quick little level and have something to kind of work with. So, all right, so this X, I'm going to set this guy to 2.5. And then I'm gonna grab our 2 walls right here. I'm gonna use these because I want them to be exactly the same size for each hallway. So I'm just gonna duplicate these guys. That way they stay exactly the same. And I'm gonna pull this stuff in. Line it up to this. Cool, we got that. So now I'm gonna grab this guy, line it up to this end, and then I'm gonna grab this whole side, these walls and the hall, and I'm gonna duplicate this guy, and I'm gonna right click on this, and I'm gonna transform mirror X. So we're gonna mirror X because if you look at this red arrow, the red arrow means that's the X axis. So we're gonna right click, transform mirror X, and just line this guy up. And there you go. Now we just need to do one more hallway right here. So I'm just gonna grab all these walls, duplicate these guys over, transform, and now you can see we're on the green one. So the green one is the Y axis. So we're gonna right click, transform, mirror Y, and then we're just gonna line this guy up like that. Looks like the ends aren't quite as far as they should be. Let's see, we're not getting that on this side, right? Why aren't we getting that on this side? Oh, it's because we didn't bring it in far enough. This just needs to come in there. There we go. Alright, so now all I'm going to do is close up the ends of these halls for now. I'm just going to duplicate this guy over. Rotate this guy 90 degrees. And line this guy up. And you can see we're on the green axis, so I'm gonna actually this is probably this one. So I'm gonna set this guy to -5, let's say -5.3. Yeah, to line that up right there. Then I'm just gonna duplicate this guy over and line it up to the other end as well. And then I'm going to duplicate it over, fill the other ends, rotate this 90 degrees, try to get it lined up here. And then I'm going to duplicate it one more time to fill this in, and then we'll start working on the floor. The floor should be quick and easy. And then we will also do the ceiling, which will be even faster. So, there we have it. We have some walls. We can go back into lit mode, take a look at it. I'm going to drag this light right here, this point light, into the center for now. We're going to change this light out later for something called a rect light. I like using those for like indoor locations and stuff a lot. So we'll pull this guy up in here for now so we can see a bit. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to try to work on our floor. So I'm just going to duplicate one of these guys, and then I'm going to set the z-axis of this to about 0.3 maybe. And we'll do 0.2. We'll set it to 0.2. And then we're going to set the Y here to, let's say, 8 maybe. We'll just try to get it to fit inside here. That fits pretty good there, but that is too far over here. So let's try 5. It looks like 5 is a little over, so we'll just do 4.5. 4.7. 4.7 looks good. And our X is already 10, so this should line up. We just have to line it up down here. Okay, so we actually need to do 10.3 since we have this wall right here. So we're going to line this up to 10.3. And that gives us that. And I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this guy. Actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and get our material for this. We'll get our floor material. So we're going to go back to Fab. Do I still have it open? I do. So we'll go back here and we're going to look for... You can look for whatever floor you want. I'm just going to look for a concrete floor. And I'm going to find... damaged concrete floor. Yeah, I'll use this guy. Looks pretty good to me. So I'm just gonna add to project. And you can see we have that, but now we need to add this to our master material. So I'm gonna go back to first person, materials. I'm just gonna duplicate this one since we already have world alignment and stuff enabled. It'll just save a tiny smidgen of time. So we'll name this damaged concrete floor. Save that. Then we're gonna open this guy up and we're just gonna replace the textures here. So go back to your fab, mega scans, surfaces, damaged concrete floor, medium, and we'll just replace these textures here. Throw those guys in there and save that. We can close it out for now, and then we're gonna go back to our material instances, damaged concrete floor. Throw this guy on there. Cool. And you can tweak that however you want. I'm just gonna leave it at default for now. And then I'm gonna go back to unlit mode so I can line this stuff up. So I'm just gonna duplicate this guy over, and we're gonna fill this middle rectangular-ish room up. So I'm gonna bring this guy over to this edge and just try to make it fit. So Y, let's try 12, 15. 15's a little too far. 14. Let's do 14.3. Looks like 14.3 is a little too far. Let's try 14.2.1. Okay, 14.1 works. So that works for us. And then now we're just going to fill in the hallways with this guy that we already have. So I'm just going to duplicate this one over and line it up. And then I'm going to duplicate it over again, rotate it 90 degrees, and we'll line it up in here. Line this guy up right there, and then we're just going to duplicate it over one more time over here. Cool. And that should be good. It is going a little bit over right here, so let's fix that. You can see a little bit of the Z fighting here. So I'm going to change the X to 10. Yeah, back to 10. Let's make sure we don't have that happening anywhere else. Looks like we're good. Let's make sure we don't have any hanging out. We do right here. So let's change this back to 10. Yep. Should be fine. Make sure we don't have any hanging out over here, and over here. Looks like we're good. Alright, so if we go back to lit mode, that's how it's looking right now. And now all we need is our ceiling. So that'll be quick and easy because we already have the layout of what we need the ceiling with all the floor pieces that we just made. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna highlight all of them. So if you click and shift click, you can select multiple pieces. And if you alt click and drag, we can bring those up. And I'm just gonna line this guy up to the top right there. Now we just need a material. So I'm going to go over here to Fab, And we're gonna find a... I'm gonna search for ceiling. Find us a ceiling material. And, let's see... worn concrete ceiling, I believe is the one I was using in the test project. So, I'm gonna use this guy again, add to project. And, you can see... we got that material. But now we need to add it to our master material. So go to first person, material. I'm going to duplicate one of these. I'm going to call this mi_worn concrete ceiling. And then I'm going to open this guy up. And we need to replace the textures with the one we just brought in. So go to your surfaces, worn concrete ceiling, medium. And replace these textures here. And save that, close it. You can do whatever tweaks you want to it. And I'm just going to go back to our materials, material instances, and I'm just going to drag this material on all of our ceiling pieces here. Go back to lit mode. Might change the tiling of this one a bit. So, tiling. I bring it in just a little bit. Yeah, something like that. Alright, so that is the general rundown of just, you know, blocking out real quick. Generally for Blockout, a lot of the time I don't even add materials, but I wanted to kind of give a rundown of my workflow of working with this master material. So yeah, that's kind of the rundown, but I do want to just quickly go over a little bit of lighting. So right now we have a point light in here. Typically I wouldn't use a point light for like an indoor location like this, just because it shines so hard on the ceiling. So what I like to use is something called a rect light. This guy right here. I'm going to pull this guy in, and I'm just going to rotate this guy 90 degrees down. So a rect light is kind of like a spotlight where it aims in a direction. But the cool thing about a rect light is you can change the size of the, like, how long it is, the angle at which the barn door works, and all of that. So just to kind of show you some of that. Source width right here, you can see you can make this guy longer. Barn door angle, like I was saying, you can change the angle of the barn door. And that is really, really useful. You can change the length of it, of the barn door, so you can make this guy go way, way long. I'm just going to kind of keep it in this general area, though. Keep that at default, actually. And, kind of bring this guy in the middle of the room. And I'm going to change the light color to be something... Actually, I'm going to go down to temperature. Check use temperature. I'm going to make it a little bit of a warmer color. Just by a little bit. Let's say 6300-ish. Something like that. And I'm just going to line it up a little bit better in the center of the room. Alright, so I also, for something like a horror environment, I think that's a little bit too bright. So on the intensity, I'm going to actually set this down to 1. And you can see that's kind of too dark, but something cool that you can do with lighting is mess with something called indirect lighting. So if you scroll down here, we have indirect lighting intensity. If you set this guy to about 5, let's see, maybe 5 might not be quite enough for this room, so let's set that up to about 10. And you can see when I did that, you can start seeing the ceiling a bit more. If I go back down to 5, you can see we're not getting any of that on the ceiling. You can kind of play with this. And it's basically light, it kind of controls the light's reflections So like light will reflect off of other things and then, you know, light other things. So that's kind of what that does. And if you want, you could make it a little bit more bright. Let's make this 1.2 on the intensity. And I think I'm gonna make the source width a little bit longer. Just a bit there. And you can also change the source height if you want to. Bring it in and make it a little bit wider as well. And let me go back down to an indirect lighting, because I don't want the indirect lighting to be too hard, but I want you to be able to kind of see but not see at the same time, if you understand. It's kind of a thing a lot of horror games do. Like, not every horror game goes completely pitch black, but they kind of have like a little bit of lighting around that is very, very subtle, you know? I'm going to bring that indirect lighting down to about 12 and set the actual intensity to about 1.5-ish. 1.3-ish. And then I'm just going to duplicate this and light our halls a little bit. We don't need it to be quite that bright or that size. So I'm going to bring in the height, or let's rotate this 90. I'm going to bring in the height a bit. I'm going to bring this intensity back down to 1 and bring the indirect lighting back down to about 5 for the hall. Maybe 3-ish. Let me bring the intensity down to about 0.8. Yeah, something like that. And then I'll go ahead and light a bit of the other halls as well. So just duplicate these guys over. Rotate this guy 90 degrees. And fill that in. We'll also fill in the other side. Just a bit. And we'll grab this one and duplicate it over to our other side. And yeah, that gives us you know, pretty dungy, creepy looking area. Obviously you can fill this area in with, you know, different assets and decals and all kinds of cool things to really liven it up a bit. But this was, I just wanted to give a quick rundown of getting something kind of this atmosphere. And let's press play real quick. And yeah, I think that looks dungy. It looks dark, creepy. You definitely don't want to turn a corner in here and see something horrible. And yeah, I think that's all we're gonna do for this one. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know all that down in the comments. And in the next part, I'm not too sure what we're gonna do, so if you have any recommendations for what you'd want to see, let me know that. But it'll probably be something involving some code. We'll probably start getting some kind of blueprint set up, maybe some player stuff. Maybe we'll mess with some door mechanics. Maybe we'll go ahead and get our interaction system set up. Not too sure. We'll figure it out though. But we're gonna call it here for this one. If you like the video, hit the like button. Definitely helps the channel out a lot. If you're new around here, definitely subscribe. And if you have any questions, let me know those down in the comments. If you have any tutorials you would like to see, anything involving this series or other things, yeah, let me know all that down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.